Good morning, Africa. Welcome to another exciting episode of The Conversation, reaching you live here from TOS TV, your digital first Pan-African news network. On The Conversation, we bring you trending stories happening all across Africa, and of course, we delve into newspaper review. We check out what's going on social media, and finally, we bring you our topical discussion, also known as The Big Story. This particular edition promises to be interesting. My name is Osaze Isesele.
And I am Ade Suwelsi. Good morning and welcome to the show.
All right, very quickly, we'll go take this break, and when we get back, it'll be time to bring you developments across Africa. Just stay tuned. Welcome back to the conversation. Now it's time for developments across Africa. Let's take a look at some developing stories across the continent. Benin opposition presidential candidate wounded in gun attack. The Benin presidential candidate was wounded after shots were fired at his car soon after he filed his papers for the April presidential election, family members and the government said on Saturday. Ganu Soglo, a former minister and son of ex-President Nasfor Soglo, was wounded on Friday on the way to his farm in Zenvi, 35 kilometers from the West African country's commercial capital, Cotonou. He was one of 19 politicians who have filed papers for the April 11 ballot, including the incumbent Patrice Talon.
Okay, moving on to Mali, where 20 United Nations peacekeepers were injured, including, several seriously. In central Mali on Wednesday, when their base came under fire, a UN mission spokesperson said the base near the town of Douentza, was attacked around 700 GMT. A spokesperson for the MINUSMA mission, Oliver Salgado, said. He did not say who was responsible. Islamist militant groups linked to Al-Qaeda and Islamic State regularly attack UN peacekeepers and Malian soldiers in the area. The MINUSMA chief firmly condemns the attack and has ordered that all measures be taken to treat the wounded. That's Salgado talking about that. Deployed since 2013, the UN currently has over 14,000 peacekeepers in Mali.
Now we move on to the political crisis rocking Somalia. The United Nations Security Council called on Somalia's federal government and regional states on Tuesday to urgently resume talks and agree on arrangements to hold elections as soon as possible. A September agreement allows for the president and others to stay in office after Monday's election date if needed, but United Nations Special Representative James Swan has warned that going beyond that day brings an unpredictable political situation in a country where we certainly don't need any more of that. Now, after a closed virtual briefing by Swan, council members issued a statement welcoming efforts by leaders of the government and regional states to find agreement on implementing the September deal, but also expressing concern that talks ended without an agreement on Saturday. Now, the members of the Security Council called for Somalia's leader to resume, their dialogue urgently and work together in the interest of the people of Somalia to reach consensus on the arrangements for the conduct of inclusive elections with a view to holding them as soon as possible, the council stated in a statement that was released.
Okay, moving on to Ghana, developments in line with COVID-19. The Ghanaian Parliament has closed its doors, on Tuesday for at least 3 weeks after more than 100 cases of COVID-19 were discovered amongst MPs and staff, officials, as he said. I've decided in consultation with political leaders that the assembly session will be adjourned for 3 weeks, announced its speaker, Alban Bagbin. This is to allow disinfection and sanitation of the premises, he said. At least 17 parliamentarians and 151 staff members have tested positive for the new coronavirus in recent days. Last Thursday, the discovery of the first cases by dozens had already forced legislators to reduce their meetings to 2 sessions per week. In order to counter the spread of the virus, the West African country has officially confirmed a total of 73,003 cases of COVID-19, including 482 deaths. Schools reopened in January after a 10-month closure, but President Nana Akufo-Addo, that's President of Ghana, warned earlier this month that a return to stricter measures was needed.
All right, that wraps it up for our development across Africa. It will be time for us to bring you the paper reviews this morning, shortly after this break. Don't go anywhere.
TOS TV Network mobile app is now available. You can now catch up on our breaking news, stream our programs live, watch out for the latest update on sports and politics as they unfold. You can also get notifications for our upcoming programs and events. All these on our TOS TV Network mobile app, available on Apple Store and Google Play Store. TOS TV News from Africa by Africans.
Being a journalist means in-depth analysis that unravels hidden truths, that question the status quo and fact-checks government.
These criminal elements hiding under the cloak of surveillance contractors are the APC elements.
Do you have facts to prove that? Being a journalist means waking up every day with a burning desire for peace, equity, and justice for all citizens.
We're being told that the choice you have is to take the lesser of two evils.
It means patriotism via the prism of objectivity and accountability. It means giving my platform to the masses to discuss issues that matter to them.
Some of them, if they bring budget and the budget they look, some they sleep, they're going to ask how much we are on. I have it.
Thereby shaping government policies and laws. My name is Osasu Igbenedion, and I am the People's Journalist.
Welcome back. It's now time for us to take our paper reviews here on The Conversation, reaching you live from TOS TV, your digital first Pan-African news network. All right, we'll kick off with the leadership newspaper. This morning, you find the gaping headline says, Reps disagree with Senate on Constitution review. That has been a discussion in the works. Now, Reps disagree with Senate on Constitution review. It has about 3 riders. It says, reject 2014 confab APC committee reports to merge unproductive agencies, constitutes 20-man committee to screen service chiefs. And right under, just beside the photo of the day, on the front page of leadership newspaper, you see 2023, Fani Kayode has joined us in APC, says Governor Bello. Fani Kayode has joined us in APC, says Governor Bello. And then the rider under that says, no, I am still in PDP, says ex-aviation minister. And right under that headline, you will find meets with Jonathan. That is, Fani Kayode meets with Jonathan. That seems to be like some consultation already, right there, if the ex-aviation minister is going to jump ships from the ruling, from the opposition party down to the ruling party. Now, on the top page of the leadership newspaper, you also find federal government approves new debt management strategy for Nigeria. Buni applauds Federal Executive Council over approval of 8 billion naira for dam project. Right under the photo of the day, you will see Senate confirms Ahmed Kuru as AMCON MD for second term. And right under that, you'll find security operatives raid Calabar baby factory, rescue 24 pregnant girls. Still on the leadership newspaper, you will find NSAS court orders CBN to unfreeze protesters' account. Next to that story is federal government labor to meet over fuel price and electricity tariff. Next to that story again, you see Trump's second impeachment trial intensifies. And the final story is Kaduna to distribute COVID-19 vaccines with drones. Wow, that is some some innovation right there.
Yes.
Okay, that is it for the leadership newspaper this morning.
Okay, moving on to the Daily Times this morning. Starting from the very top, over 30 million Nigerians now have access to quality health services, says federal government. Tension as herdsmen allegedly attack showing cars country home. That is the very obvious headline on the Daily Times this morning. On the bottom of the picture of the day, WTO top job, Ngozi Okonjo-Iweala to know WTO fate on Monday. So by Monday, we would know where Okonjo-Iweala stands with the World Trade Organization. Protesters, court orders CBN to unfreeze bank accounts of NSAS protesters. That's on page 2 of the Daily Times this morning. And the last headline on the Daily Times this morning says, aviation airline ticket sales in Nigeria declined by $132 million. That's on page 18 of the Daily Times today.
All right, we'll move over to the Daily Trust newspaper, and the very gaping headline and very obvious headline says, concerns as Peace Corps makes fresh push for legal cover. Concerns as Peace Corps makes fresh push for legal cover. You have 4 riders under that story. It says, outfit sustains operations in Abuja, major cities. We are serving as neighborhood watch, says founder. You are not registered with us, says NSCDC. And Ndume says, why we want it as federal security outfit. Now, under the photos of the day, you find over 4,000 headers from South relocate to Kaduna. Over 4,000 headers from South relocates to Kaduna. Right under the story, you have defection. Fani Kayode counters Bello, says I'm still in PDP. Next, you can find to that story on page 25 of the Daily Trust newspaper. The headline says, basic education short of 278,000 teachers. And next to that is, headsmen did not attack Soyinka's house, says the family. And on top of the gaping headline this morning, you will find 2023 presidency, decide on zoning. Now, Umahi tells APC. 2023 presidency, decide on zoning now. Umahi tells APC. Next to that story is 48 sacked workers legally recruited. FCC contradicts NEMA. And the very last story beside that says, gunmen kidnap 15 in Abuja, Bayelsa, and Katsina. All right, that's it on Daily Trust. If you want to get in-depth insight as to those stories, do well to pick up a Daily Trust newspaper this morning.
Okay, moving over to the national economy, starting from the very obvious headline. First Bank, 4 foreign-owned banks dominate receipt of capital inflows into Nigeria. That's from the NBS. The first rider says top 5 banks received 82% of inflows in 2020. 22 others operating local banks received paltry 18%. Under that, we have FEC approves new debt management strategy for Nigeria. Dangote Refinery will provide elixir for Nigeria's economy. That's coming from the International Monetary Fund on page 5 of the national economy. And then just on top of the national economy this morning, federal government, labor to discuss PMS price modulation and electricity tariff. Senate confirms Ahmed Karu as AMCON MD. If you're interested in any of this story, especially the one about electricity tariff, because I know lots of Nigerians have been complaining about that, get yourself a copy of the national economy.
Okay, we will now move to the Daily Telegraph. The Daily Telegraph, you have Bank Chief, EU trying to shut out the city. Bank Chief says EU trying to shut out the city. And you have mixed messages cast doubt on staycations. And next to that story, you have Facebook encryption fears. Facebook encryption fears. That's it on the Daily Telegraph this morning.
Okay, the Daily Telegraph is from the UK, just in case they don't know what that one is. All right, moving over to the last daily we're going to be looking at this morning. That is the Business Day. Now, the very, very obvious headline on the Business Day this morning, Gbajabiamile's caution reinforces concern over governance cost. Now, the rider under that says, Nigerians ask lawmakers to lead by example. So besides that, Lagos tops Nigeria's investment destination with $8.304 billion capital inflow as 26 states fail to attract any. And inside the paper, First Bank offers 1 million naira loan to First Money agents across 86,000. That is on the Business Day this morning.
All right, that's it for our newspaper review this morning on The Conversation. We will go on a short break quickly, and when we come back, it will be time for us to take social media trends. The conversation continues shortly. Do stay tuned.
North to South Africa, East to West Africa, TOS TV Network is your digital-first Pan-African news network, bringing you news from across the continent. Visit our website www.tostvnetwork.com and follow us on social media at TOS TV Network on Instagram, Facebook, and Twitter. Watch us on television, channel 138 on TSTV.
Welcome back to the conversation here on TOS TV Network, and it's about that time where I take you through what's trending on social media. You already know that that's my favorite segment of the program. Now, as I always say, every day there's something to talk about. Like when you go to social media trend table, there's something to look out for. Now, this time, so I just, came up with random tweet that I found kind of, funny and engaging at the same time. So the first one is from at callme_Zulux. She says, assuming you look like your handwriting, will you be fine? Trying to tell you, auntie, uncle, what does your handwriting look like? And then this one at 4.
I know, I'll be a very handsome guy, trust me.
For real, you have like really cute handwriting.
Oh man, I'll be so cute. So sweet.
Okay, at 4, Riti says, I hope rapture happens on February 14th. That's Valentine's Day. And the ones in relationships are left behind. Wow. This person has to be really paid. Like
the ones in relationships are going to be left behind.
So the singles can travel. Like
it means I'm in heaven already.
Really? So you're one of those people. I think I was one of those people that were thinking like this, that on Valentine's Day, I'm going to be catching everybody I see that's getting mushy and everything. That's what I'm going to be doing on Valentine's Day. Then the last one is from at H_L_MA. Losing weight is fat phobia, but we're not ready for that conversation. So what are you trying to tell us? That if you're trying to lose weight, then you have phobia for fat or something?
To an extent.
No, it could be.
Some people are afraid. When you begin to lose track of your diet schedule, some people are already afraid. In fact, literally, I know people that are afraid to be fat.
Well, there's that part. Then there's the part trying to stay healthy. Then there's just trying to look good. It doesn't mean that I have phobia for fat and I don't like to see fat or something like that.
Yeah, but now let me tell you, whichever of the three options you have mentioned, if you look at it critically, it's linked to the fact that the person is afraid of being fat.
Well, like,
whether you want to look good, whether you want to look good, whether you want to be healthy, whether you just want to be, you know, on the slim side, anything it is connected to the fact that, oh, I don't want to be fat, and that's why I'm engaging in all of this.
but why is fat? She's making it sound like big fat, having fat phobia or whatever is a bad thing. I mean, what's wrong with having, like, not liking fat anyway?
No, it's not a bad thing,
Exactly.
but she's saying that let's just agree that the act to want to lose weight for whatsoever reason is because you're afraid of being fat.
Okay, so that means alternatively, trying to gain weight is you're afraid of being slim. So that's slim phobia. That's how I'm going to put it.
If you say so,
That's how I'm going to put it this morning. Okay, that's it on the What's Trending on Social Media segment. We're going to go on another break, and when we get back, it's a bit time for the big story.
North to South Africa, East to West Africa, TOS TV Network is your digital-first Pan-African news network, bringing you news from across the continent. Visit our website www.tostvnetwork.com and follow us on social media at TOS TV Network on Instagram, Facebook and Twitter. Watch us on television, channel 138 on TSTV Africa. North to South Africa, East to West Africa, TOS TV Network is your digital-first Pan-African news network, bringing you news from across the continent. Visit our website www.tostvnetwork.com and follow us on social media at TOS TV Network on Instagram, Facebook and Twitter. Watch us on television, channel 138 on TSTV Africa. North to South Africa, East to West Africa, TOS TV Network is your digital-first Pan-African news network, bringing you news from across the continent. Visit our website www.tostvnetwork.com and follow us on social media at TOS TV Network on Instagram, Facebook and Twitter. Watch us on television, channel 138 on TSTV Africa.
Welcome back to the conversation, and if you're just joining, well, you haven't really missed much because we're just getting into the meat of the conversation. Yes, talking about the big story. And the conversation today is on Women and Girls in Science Day, achieving equal access and participation. Now, according to a youth survey report issued by the National Bureau of Statistics, in Nigeria, young men are almost twice as likely to have a career in science and technology-related fields as women. In Nigeria, according to the National Bureau of Statistics, women make up, on average, just 22% of the total number of engineering and technology university graduates every year. According to the same source, women make up roughly a fifth of the total number of people working in the information and communication technology sector. This disparity starts much earlier when female enrollment in technology and engineering courses of Nigerian higher institutions is lower than men's. This means men are shaping the technology being developed while women are largely passive users. On today, 11th February, is the International Day of Women and Girls in Science, and the day focuses on the reality that science and gender equality are both vital for the achievement of internationally agreed development goals, including the 2030 Agenda for Sustainable Development. In order to achieve full and equal access to and participation in science for women and girls, and further achieve gender equality and the empowerment of women and girls, the United Nations General Assembly adopted a resolution declaring 11th February, that's today, as International Day of Women and Girls in Science. Joining us today to discuss the conversation is Damilola Anwo Ade, Managing Partner, Sprout Digital. Good morning and welcome to the show.
Good morning, and it's great to be here.
I like your smile. Has anyone told you that you don't look like you're in the tech
space?
Yeah.
Great. So that's the stereotype that usually happens.
Yeah.
They're expecting us to look serious.
Exactly.
With glasses.
Nerdy.
Yeah.
But it's quite amazing to see you. Now let's get, you heard the statistics I read earlier. What's your reaction to that?
It's true. We see that reality every day. Okay. And unfortunately in Nigeria, it's worse than in other parts of the country. Mm-hmm. And one of the reasons is that, and I'm just going to get very practical about this. Okay. We do a lot of work with schools, where we go into schools and we try to train young girls. Yeah. And what I noticed, even from that level at primary school, you can see where the gap begins. So, you're looking at the statistics and its numbers, but when you see the reality of looking at each girl in the face, you know that it's beyond numbers, that human beings that are actually making decisions based on, I don't think I'm good enough to be in STEM, or, you're meant to be a wife and her mother, and so you shouldn't do anything hard in school. Okay. So they're making decisions based on culture, they're making decisions based on their environment, and those decisions are coming up in those statistics. So I can definitely relate, to everything that is going on within the STEM space.
Okay, but what was it for you? Because I know that when I was in primary and junior secondary school, I was in the JET club, but I think there was just two of us, two females in the JET. And then when we go for into school competition, it was largely boys. And then so when it was time to scale or time to they would readily pick the men over the women, and it was heartbreaking every time because I was always wondering. So I eventually went into the arts because I just thought, science is enough for me. So what was it for you?
For me, I think it was. First, it was probably my mother. I know that a lot of people say, it was my mom, but it was truly my mother. She threw me into my first computer science class. Oh, wow. And literally went, you must do this, because I wasn't honestly interested. Okay. And I read through the manual in 2 hours. Okay. Like the entire manual that we're meant to do for a month or a semester. I read through it in 2 hours, and that was it. Okay. So that was, it was, and the statistics have also shown that when a female or the mom is educated, the children make better decisions around their careers and all that. So it was actually important for women to see that, to open that door for the girls. A lot of times you see that, the mother registers the guys for the computer science classes, and then we register the girls for makeup classes, tailoring, fashion classes, tailoring. But it's important to have, them do all.
Okay, now talking about parents influencing the decision of their children, what can be done for more parents to encourage their children to go into the tech space, particularly the female or the girl child, so to speak?
Two things. There's definitely opening them up to doing more. Like, take them for robotics, STEM classes, take them for robotics classes. Don't just insist that they should do something around fashion. And the second thing is to encourage. So we've noticed by default, girls really don't take science courses because they don't feel like they can handle it. So you can imagine if your dad comes up to you and says, babe, I know that you're really smart and you can do anything. Then by default, they start having that confidence to do more. So, for me, it's those two things. Being able to, one, encourage them, and then to take them to do more than just fashion and cooking classes. Okay,
but what really would you say, aside from the household, what would you say is responsible for the disparity in women in science in sub-Saharan Africa? What is responsible for that?
I think it's cultural on some level.
Okay.
And I think it's also lack of seeing enough role models.
Okay.
So cultural in the sense of our culture by default tailors us towards certain activities.
Yeah.
And then the role model bit is that how many times you get into a school and you see a teacher that is female that does chemistry or physics or mathematics, you know, by default, or engineering or architecture.
Yeah.
Even when women are doing those things, they're in the workforce. Like some of them will even go to school for the whole 4 years or 6 years of, you know, a bachelor's degree, but they will not go to the workforce. So the statistics have shown that in Nigeria, okay, primary school, you can get a lot of girls, you know, interested in maths. By secondary school, it drops.
It drops, yeah.
By university, it drops
Just
some
some
more.
more, yeah.
By the time they're done with university, it still drops again. So basically, we're having women that are also graduating as engineers, graduating as doctors, but they're actually not using those skills. They're at home, they're doing stuff like that. So if we see more role models, because I've noticed that within the past 5-10 years, we're seeing more women going to, you know, spaces and encourage girls, and we're actually seeing the numbers increase. We're seeing more girls interested in joining and registering for robotic classes.
Okay.
We're seeing more girls interested in, you know, registering for computer-based classes. So definitely, you know, if they see more role models, it will change over time. But I think a lot of it is cultural, so we have to break those cultural walls.
Okay, because I was having a conversation with someone one time, and I think I brought this issue up, like, we don't have a lot of women. And then so I was talking about policies and stuff, and the person asked me a question and said, we're talking about policy, but have you asked yourself if these girls are actually interested? There should be interest first. So how do you build that interest?
So we've noticed that having those classes have actually built interest. Going to schools and mentoring has built interest. Some girls don't even know it's an option.
Yeah.
It's interesting how, you know, they really honestly don't know it's an option for them to study something around engineering or maths. They literally feel like, you know what, I'm, you know, within this. And I think we've also noticed that those people that went into arts and they want to change their minds, they don't know it's an option to actually change their minds.
Yeah.
Even if you spent, you know, 6 years or 8 years doing anything within the social sciences, you can literally wake up and say, I choose to do these, and there are actually programs that help you do that. So I feel like also the knowledge gap is there in terms of they don't know that there are programs out there that can encourage them and support them along that journey. And we definitely need to have more programs within Nigeria, both nationally and individually.
Yeah, I was going to that because that's what I was talking about, policies. So aside the role that family can play, what other role can institutions play in driving that access and participation for more women and girls?
I totally agree. I think a lot of us are doing things individually, and then, you know, the government really has to do more to encourage the ecosystem.
Okay.
You can see how the ecosystem around tech flourished in Lagos. So it's achievable by states and national governments thinking towards that a bit more. I think organizations like NIGDA, you know, the Ministry of Information and Science and Tech, you know, they can do more. They can do more in shaping programs that specifically targeting young people, because we know that that gap starts very early. And then they can also do more targeting the girls at different levels. There are a lot of programs that I know that young girls will be happy to register for. I also feel like we should be creative about the programs that we raise. So we know that by default, culturally, the girls are going to navigate towards fashion. They're going to so why not merge some of those things together? Tech can be merged with anything. We've seen those solutions pop up. You've seen solutions that pop up within fashion and tech, health and tech. So tech can be made, cooking and tech, so why not? A lot of times when we now bring up programs, it's very boring, it's very stereotyped, and by default, we know that they're not going to attract the girls. There are specific programs that will attract our young girls, and we can actually begin to make those things happen at both national, state, and local level.
Okay, let's look at it on a larger scale. What would you say, personally, you are a woman in science and technology, so what would you say is the role of women in science in Africa's development?
So I feel like the gap that we're experiencing in development is because women haven't stepped up to the plate. A lot of times, even when we're building a software or we're trying to develop any kind of application, whether it's web or mobile, and we like to bring people together to think about what that software can achieve. And sometimes, you know, in that room, we're not representing, everybody's not represented. When women are not represented, of course, that software is biased. When, you know, when certain sectors or people are not represented, there's no way that even in your planning and your development and your project plan, that software will not be biased, because it's not taking into account all the users. And the more women that actually contribute towards such processes, the better. And I'm going to give a very basic example.
Okay.
I hope you remember Florence, the founder of Omatech. So she, basically she came up and she said, you know what, I want to build our own computers. And she was able to achieve that. She's late now, but she was able to achieve that. We would always, be thankful to her because she was a woman that saw the gap in the space. These gaps can be filled, and they can be filled by our young girls and by our mothers, by our sisters, but they really have to be in those places to fill those gaps.
What are some of the challenges that you face as a woman in tech, especially in
Yeah,
Africa?
I was going to ask. I was going to ask because as someone who would love a lot of he for she's to be in that space.
Yes.
I was thinking, what's the competition like?
Yes.
In the space, particularly for a woman.
Because I feel like you have to do twice as much. That's how I feel personally, but yeah.
So initially, the challenge was that, my voice wasn't being heard initially. But I think that Nigeria has really shifted from that.
Okay.
I would go for a meeting and I'm trying to, get a particular job and they're like, madam, go and sit at home. That literally happened to me not once, not twice.
Okay.
But that doesn't happen anymore. Now people are listening, they're ready to accept you into the doors. They're open to having that conversation with you. They're not looking down at you, that you're a woman in most places, not all, because of course everybody doesn't move at the same pace.
True.
But, now I think the challenge is in when it comes down to the real money, in the funding, and it's not as flowy as it should be.
Okay.
Like you would even see the statistics also say it as well, that we don't get as much funding as men,
Yes.
founders. And so it would be nice to have more platforms that allow us to access some of these funding. And the good thing is that, so right now funding, it's either you take a loan or you get a grant or you get a VC to invest in your company. So are we getting enough VC capital? No. But are we getting enough grants? Yes. A lot of, the microfinance banks are doing something about giving us loans. So women are getting more access to loans. But we should be able to have more in terms of not just a loan, but in terms of grants and in terms of general opportunities. I think one of the reasons is not because the men decide to have it so. As much as I would like to point fingers and say, oh, it's the man's fault. It really isn't just, the man's fault. It's also because of the way women communicate, the way we handle our day-to-day lives is pretty much different. Okay. And so you need to programs need to step out of their comfort zone to find those places that women interact. And the good thing is that a lot of programs are doing that for us now, but obviously not enough because the statistics are still low. We're not enough getting funding, we're not enough getting grants. So that would be the problem. Give us more money.
Okay, before I let you go, can you tell me about Sprout Digital? Because I was asking Usaze earlier, like, what do you guys do at Sprout Digital? Because I know, like, Sprout is a word on its own and digital. So how do you, I don't know, merge it together?
So we believe that when technology meets development, things sprout.
Oh wow!
Wow, amazing.
So interesting.
So that's Sprout. So finding innovative ways to solve developmental issues. It can be anything from water to health to education. We've done programs for a lot of developmental agencies that deal with women. Okay. So there are lots of companies that build software, web-based applications, but we wanted to be able to solve a particular sector, and that was the developmental sector. Because we felt like NGOs needed us the most. Okay. Like, they're doing the social impact, we're interested in social impact and meeting those social goals. So that's Sprout. One of the programs that has brought Sprout to the limelight is the coding program. So we teach kids to code.
Oh wow!
And we say as long as they can read and write, they can code. So once they can recognize the letters A, B, C, D, they can code. And we believe that coding is the third language literacy. And so that's one of the things that we've done over the years. And so most times kids start coding at 4. Okay. So literally by 4 years old they can.
It's that easy to pick up?
Yep.
Oh wow.
Definitely very easy to pick up, but it takes consistency. Okay. So they come in regularly, they code, and it's been amazing. And it's been amazing to see more women.
So how long have you been doing this?
Oh wow. So officially I've been handling Sprout for 6 years.
Wow.
6 years.
Wow.
Yeah.
How many, since we're talking about women and girls, how many women and girls do you have?
And Sprout Digital, right?
Yeah.
So it's almost 50-50, to be honest. Yeah.
Okay.
So both the virtual and the physical team, it's almost 50-50.
Wow,
so that's a good thing.
That is quite interesting. Okay. Lastly, I know I said that was like, but lastly, personally, if you were, what would be your first point of call for action if you were in a position to, curb the underrepresentation of women and girls in science in Africa, or if you were going to suggest, what would it be?
It's definitely more programs.
Okay.
Definitely more programs targeted at all levels.
Okay.
I don't think the awareness is enough, and I think we need to be specific about those areas. Us in the north, like Abuja, Kaduna, Kano, we need more girls coming from these spaces.
Okay.
So Lagos seems to have all the shine, but they don't need to. So it would be nice to see more programs targeting, those younger girls.
And does co-creation hubs and stuff like that, does it help?
I think it really does. Okay. And it's been interesting to see the growth in the co-creation hubs. That specific co-creation hubs that I've been to that actually just focus on women.
Okay.
So they make it convenient for you to bring your babies in, and make it convenient for you to, all those things they know that women are interested in. So yes, I absolutely co-creation hubs.
Okay. All right. Thank you so much, Damilola, for coming on the show. It's been quite an interesting conversation, and I like your look. I like it.
Thank you.
All right, on the big story, we've been talking to Damilola Anwade. She's managing partner for Sprout Digital, and we've been looking at how we can increase access and participation of women and girls in science and technology. It's been such a very insightful and great conversation, and we look forward to having more engagement with you here on TOS TV.
I would love that. Thank you.
All right, the conversation continues shortly. Don't go anywhere. Just stay tuned. Welcome back to the conversation here on TOS TV Network, your digital first Pan-African news network. You can be a part of the conversation we just had on the big story. Head on to our Twitter page at TOS TV Network and tell us what you think about the involvement, the access, the participation, the encouragement of women and girls in science and technology. Today is that day where we celebrate women and girls in science and technology. So if you have a woman, a lady, or your sister, your friend who is very interested in the science and tech space, today is just that day to give them that encouragement, that they need, to say, keep going, I believe in you, I'm proud of you. Who knows, you may be one of our world's greatest scientists or technologists, who would solve, pressing societal issues.
In Africa. Let's bring it down to Africa.
In Africa.
Yes.
All right, so that's where we will draw the curtain on the conversation today. Do well to follow us on our social media platforms, on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram at TOS TV Network. You can also head on to our website, www.tostvnetwork.com. My name is Osaze Isesele.
And I am Adesawasi. Thank you for joining us.